Y'all, we did it. This house is ours. But the adventure has only just begun. We want to take a moment and go through with you what it actually cost to own this house.
And this little document here, this is the document that shows how much we had to pay at the closing. So closing happened on May 5th. Closing is basically, if you don't know, it's when you sign the final paperwork to buy the house. So this document shows how they got the numbers for how much we had to pay that day, the day of closing. So let's get right into it. In this first section, it's kind of an overview. So it shows what the estimates were and the final amounts. So
if it helps, think back to our videos where we talk about what we budgeted and what it actually cost.
Sure, yeah. So for total closing costs, this is how much the actual transaction costs. Estimated $33,785. Final cost was $35,363.65. Closing costs paid before closing, $0. We didn't pay any in advance. Closing costs finance, so paid from the loan amount, $11,932. And that's the same for budgeted and final. Down payment or funds from borrower, $0. We didn't put down a down payment for this house at all. We're just paying closing costs. Deposit, $5,000. This was the earnest deposit that we sent initially, basically saying that we were serious about buying the house. Funds for borrower. I don't actually know what that is. Do you know what that is?
No.
Well, either way, it's $0.
So it's if you had to not know something, let it be something that didn't cost you anything.
Correct. Seller credits. So this was the seller lowering the cost of the house on top of the negotiated lower amount that we bought the house for. So that's $6,000. That came out a little confusing. So what was the original listing price for the house?
The original listing price was 500 and what?
64, I think it was.
Yeah, 64.
Yeah. So they started out listing the house for $564,000, and then we negotiated down, and now the final price that we're paying is $555,000. And then other adjustments and other credits, $6,601.41. So that is an increase from the $1,500 that was estimated. And then the total cash to close is $5,830.24. The original estimate was $9,353. So we paid significantly less to close on this house, to pay for the actual transaction, which I'm okay with. And then this next section, it breaks down summaries of all the different things.
Now, I think it's worth taking this moment to point out that if you think this is a lot to go through, y'all, it was a whole book that we had to sit down while the real estate attorney went through not every single page, but a lot of the pages.
Yeah.
And some of it they read through line by line. Some of it they just summarized. So count yourselves lucky. We're breaking it down even less.
Yes.
It was a lot.
It really was. And honestly, there are only a few things that I want to highlight on this page. Feel free to pause and look at it as you wish. But look at the difference here. So the sale price of the property, $555,000, right? due from the borrower at closing. So this is the total amount, like all said and done, including closing costs, including the cash to close, everything. $590,363.65. Y'all, when you buy a house, you're not paying just the amount that you say you're going to buy the house from. Even if we bought the house in cash, we would not be paying just the sale price. It's the same when you buy a car or when you buy any large purchase that has additional like documentation fees. You are never just paying the sale price. You're paying additional on top of that.
There's fees, there's taxes. There's a lot going on.
Yes. So again, closing costs paid at closing, $35,363.65. Most of that is being financed. So that is A-okay. And then we go down to this little section. It says paid already by or on behalf of borrower at closing. So I only actually paid, so the total is $584,533.41.
Which I believe represents this amount up here minus the cash to close.
Well, we're not done. It'll go into it.
Okay.
So paid already by or on behalf of the borrower at closing. It's $584,533.41, right? The only parts that we actually paid out of this was the $5,000 deposit.
Oh, okay.
And then the loan was $566,932. And then we have that credit that we talked about earlier. And then this little interesting bit here, the rent proration, May 5th to May 31st of 2025. What this is here is this is a multifamily home. The tenant who currently lives there already paid their rent for May. So the seller, the previous owner of the house, doesn't get to keep all that rent. We got the amount, like if you divide by the number of days of the month, and so you divide by 31, and then you add up all the days that are left in the month, that's how you get that. So we got the amount of rent for the rest of the month as part of the credits here. And then also another credit was the security deposit. So this is the security deposit that the tenant paid when they first moved in. Now, we were advised to refund this because the laws that go around security deposits are not beneficial to the owner, to the landlord. So we were advised to actually refund that immediately, which we are going to do, and you will see that later. And then adjustments for items unpaid by the seller. This is, again, prorated amounts for city taxes, county taxes. And then all of that together adds up to the $584,533.41. Now, the full calculation here for what came from us was the total due from borrower at closings, the $590,000 that was up here. And then you subtract the already paid on our behalf by or on behalf of the borrower, the $584,000, which is up here. And then you get the cash to close from the borrower. So that was $5,830.24. So that is what we actually paid. We sent a wire to the title company for this amount. Now, I also want to take a look at what the seller paid, because a lot of people don't think about it. When you sell a house, it's not free. You have to pay money to sell a house too, because the transaction costs are on both sides. Now, this really has nothing to do with us, but if you ever sell a house, it's important to know. So the seller, even though $590,000 is due from us at closing, the seller is only getting the $555,000 that we bought the house for, because the rest are transaction costs. And then, and then you see down here, due from seller at closing. So these are things that the seller has to pay out of the money that they're getting from us. Closing costs, their closing costs are $40,726.72. So the seller's closing costs are actually more than our closing costs. And then they had to pay that rent proration. So this same rent proration they paid to us, essentially, out of what the house costs. And then the security deposit, which is the same as this, they paid to us. And then same for the seller credit, it's here. And then the same thing with the adjustments for items unpaid by seller, the city taxes and the county taxes. But then you go down here, and I don't know if you noticed, there's this little line here that says pay off a first mortgage loan, existing loans assumed or taken subject to, pay off of second mortgage loan. These?
That's a big zip.
That's blank. That's blank. The seller, the people that we are buying this house from, they had already paid off this building. So they were receiving rent for a building that was paid off. And now they're getting all this money free and clear. So
that's hot.
Total due to the seller at closing, $555,000. That's what we're buying the house for. Due from the seller at closing, $53,328.13. So that money, poof, in the wind. But then what they get at the cash to close, so we pay cash to close. We pay cash to close here. They get cash to close $501,671.87. So that's what the seller is getting free and clear.
And considering, once again, that they have already paid this off, that's not a bad nest egg on top of whatever else they may have had going.
Yes, but also keep in mind, when they bought the house, they had a loan, right? So they had to pay additional on top of what they bought the house for. So, like when we looked at our original closing documents, it said that our loan would be for $566,000, but once the 30 years is up, once the house is paid off, we will have paid like $1.2 million.
Yeah.
So, yes, they're getting $501,000, and that's great, but how much did they pay in interest? How much did they pay for this house? That's something to keep in mind, because, yeah, it might seem like it's a lot of money that they're getting up front, but they've already paid X number of dollars to upkeep the building, to pay for the actual loan, like all that stuff. So, like, it could potentially be kind of a wash, even, depending, because the sellers, like the previous owners of this building, they'd done a lot of improvements. They'd spent a lot of money fixing that house up. They had just installed like new cabinets. They had just upgraded the electrical, which is not cheap. Mm-hmm. They had just a few years ago replaced the roof. Mm-hmm. Like they put thousands and thousands of dollars in.
They had upgraded the garage for electricity.
Well, that was part. I said okay. They updated the electrical. Yeah. But yeah, they had done a lot of updates which cost money. So I don't know how much of this is actually profit. And I think that's something that we should probably keep track of as we're going, because a lot of people seem to think that real estate is this
pure profit.
Yeah, like easy money, pure profit. Once you pay your mortgage, like that's it, and the rent pays for the property. But that's actually not going to be the case with us in particular. But also the seller, they lived in that building before too. So there's only so much that is actually paid for. Like, this is still an expensive thing to do. It's the biggest transaction we're ever going to do. And it'd be interesting to see, like, over the course of the loan, how much we actually pay for the house versus how much we have coming in for rental income. Because I have a feeling that it would kind of sober us, as well as other people who might want to consider being a landlord, especially if they're going to live on the property too and not rent out all the units. But I mean, it's still
no regrets.
No regrets. No regrets. It is important to both of us to have a stable place to live and to have, you know, a future, which this kind of represents. And yes, it's going to be expensive, especially up front, but I think we're going to be better off in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. This, like so many other investments, it pays off better if you are paying attention, if you are taking care of the investment as you go, if you're intentional. And I intend for us to prove year after year the budget beats broke every time.
And never forget that you too deserve financial stability. And I hope you have a great day on purpose. Bye.